Hello again, Garage42 here with more Mega Man Battle Network 3. This is part 12 of my speedrun guide, and today we stack the folder. This guide walks you through the entire game, scenario by scenario, and provides all of the information needed to follow along, even if you've never played these games before. This guide is designed for new runners, but covers many important and fundamental aspects that are relevant at all levels of gameplay, especially this one. I'll be playing on the blue version, however this trick works on white as well. But enough exposition. Let's begin. So, folder stacking. Now, random battle chip draws at the start of fights is kind of like a core fundamental of the Battle Network combat system. You build your deck, your folder of 30 battle chips, and then you go into a fight and the game will randomly deal you 5 of those. You can add for more, you can have custom chip or custom parts to let you draw more, or bugs that make you draw less, and you know, drawing chips and trying to get specific ones and folder flow and synergy, it's all very core to the Battle Network games. But what if you could draw all of your chips in exactly the order you wanted right at the start of the fight? It's possible. In Battle Network 1, 2, and 3, we can actually do real-time RNG manipulation for use in speedruns. 4, 5, and 6 changed how RNG work. Again, RNG is random number generator. And it's done differently in each game. For Battle Network 3, if you want a folder stack, what you need to do is basically... I'll talk a little bit about how the game shuffles the chips, because I think it's the same in 1, 2, and 3, but it's neat nonetheless. Basically, it takes 2 copies of your folder and shuffles each one separately. Every frame, it takes each deck and takes takes each folder and takes 2 of the battle chips and swaps their positions. So, at the very start of the game, nothing's swapped. And then in the next frame, each have 1 chip swapped. And then in the next frame, each have another chip swapped. There are things that advance RNG 1. In Battle Network 3, they actually split RNG in 2, so there's RNG 1 and RNG 2. RNG 1 determines what chips you draw. And that advances not on the title screen, that's very important. But it does advance, like, while you're just in the overworld, standing still. It does not advance in battle. I don't think it advances in the menu. So, that's the main part for RNG 1. In Battle Network 1 and 2, there's only 1 RNG value, so those are a little more different. The folder stacking in Battle Network 3 is similar to Battle Network 1, but different from Battle Network 2. So that's kind of a rough overview of everything, but what you need to know to actually pull it off is basically that if you can restart the RNG, which we do by using a hard reset, not a soft reset, in Battle Network 3, then continue and get into a fight in the same number of RNG increments, which essentially means in the same number of frames for most purposes, then you'll get, your folder will be shuffled in the same way every time. So if you know how your folder is going to be shuffled, you know which slots you're going to draw at the start of the fight. So for Flashman, it's like we know which slots we're going to draw, and I take that, figure out what chips I want to draw for the fight. So for Flashman, it's actually 2 cannons, 2 air shots, and a rock cube. And then I put those chips in specific places in the folder so that we draw them. and that compresses down essentially into a specific location. So for Flashman, it's this corner, and then a specific folder edit. And in Flashman's case, you take the second cannon, A, and swap it with the second cannon, B, so you get the ABBA cannon. Then you reg the first air shot. Then you take the last Recup 10L and swap it with Rock Cube. Now this is how your folder starts at the very beginning of the game, so I did not ID sort it or anything. If you sort the folder, it changes the position of the chips, and so the folder edit will be different. So from the starting folder, if you have Rock Cube, which we pick up from a Blue Mystery data, you can do this folder edit. And then save. And now you have to do a hard reset. You have to restart the console, because restarting the console restarts RNG 1, but doing a soft reset, resetting the game using the in-game AB start select, will reset RNG 2. This is specific for Battle Network 3. And RNG 1 controls what ships you draw, the folder shuffling. So we have to do a hard reset for all the folder stacking. And now it's very important that you buffer your movement. So I'm going to hold the B button because I want to run. I'm going to press start, and then I'm going to press start to continue, and then I'm going to hold up. And holding start skips the cutscene, so we start the fight on the same RNG index, on the same frame, and we get the chip draw that I wanted. We get 2 cannons, 2 air shots, and a rock cube, because rock shot does 200 damage, and then we need to do another 100, and that comes from the air shots and the cannons. So we take 2 cannons, air shot, rock cube, air shot, in this order. Flashman moves twice, and then you hit him with a cannon, and then he moves twice, and then you hit him with a cannon, and then he moves twice, and then you use the air shot to stun him, and then the rock cube to finish him off. So you defeat Flashman before he even attacks. It's a 5-second fight, and it's 100% consistent. So some people really like the idea of folder stacking. It gives you tremendous potential, and it is very fast. The only downside is you have to do specific folder edits, you have to save the game in a specific spot, and you have to do a hard reset. So it takes a lot more notes, memorization, learning, practice to do effective manipulations, but then you get stuff like this. And if you thought that wasn't silly enough, well, let me show you another really good argument for folder stacking. So I'm somewhere different in the game now. I'm actually in World 3 Comp 2, about to face Bubbleman Alpha. I've just taken the warp, and I've not moved. This is what my folder looks like. There are certain important chips in there that you want to note their locations of. If you do, and you put them in the same spaces that I have, then you too will draw what I'm about to draw. From this position, we do, again, a hard reset, not a soft reset. And I'm going to hold B because I want to run. And then I'm going to press and hold start, and I'm going to then hold up, just like I did for Flashman. And how convenient. First turn master style. And not only that, I threw in an attack plus 30 just for good measure. Master style is 9 hits for 100, so an attack plus 10 will put it at 990. But with an attack plus 30, it does 1,170 damage on the very first turn of the fight. And we win. So, if Bubble Man gives you trouble, this will make it so that he does not give you trouble anymore. Imagine open drawing Master Style on King Man, Desert Man, Plant Man, Flam Man. On Flam Man, you can use Master Style before he gains invulnerability, and it will knock his candles out. If you put on attack plus 30, he's just done. And attack plus 10 will leave him with 10 health. Like, it is incredibly powerful. But, it's like you need a complete route with folder edits for all the setups to make this work. And at the moment, there is not a full RNG manipulation route for white, and the one for blue does not use Master Style. It relies heavily on Elemental Slash. So it's like you can use this technique, but someone needs to do the actual routing for it. So that's what it's on my to-do list, but it's a little lower down. If people show interest in that, especially if you're like, you know, I could really use it for Desert Man, or if there's a particular boss giving you trouble, then let me know, and we'll see what we can come up with. But a whole game route is takes a lot more effort and time to route. Anyone that's watched my streams may have an idea of that. The other caveat is that it only works for fights that you run into. Flashman, Bubble Man, stuff like that. A notable example of someone it won't work on is Beastman Alpha in the ranking scenario. He's got rank 8. You have to talk to him. Now when you talk to someone, you have to push A to initiate that. You cannot buffer the A button off of the title screen like you can buffer movement. So you aren't able to start the Beastman fight on a specific frame with a specific RNG index, which means that to folder stack on him, you have to do a very different, far more tedious and slightly more difficult setup. But the main takeaway here is that find a corner or some consistent position that you can put yourself in that is close to the boss. Put the chips that you want to draw in specific slots, which you can find by resetting, doing a hard reset, running into the encounter, and figuring out which chips you draw. It's easy if you take your folder and you put in 30 unique chips, so then you know if I draw this chip, it's that one. Because if you have 2 chips, one in slot 1 and one in slot 2, and you draw that chip, you don't know if you drew slot 1 or slot 2. You'd figure out it's a little more tedious testing that way. And then once you know what slots you draw for what corner you're using, then you can create a folder edit to do that quickly, and thus create your route. And then you just go from one to the next, trying to minimize the number of folder edits and overlapping the usage of slots of the same chip. So like, if you were to Master Style all of the bosses in Battle Network 3, you would want to find setups that give you very similar draws across all bosses, if possible, because that would reduce the number of folder edits that you have to do. Okay, so that's folder stacking. It's it sounds complicated, and sometimes it is, but when you break it down, it's really simple. So just follow the route or create your own, hard resets, specific folder slots. Win. But yeah, that wraps up folder stacking. Mega Man Battle Network 3 is a long speedrun, but we got through it, one scenario at a time. If you have any questions about the game, or the run, or folder stacking, or RNG manipulation, ask me in the comments below. Check the description for additional links to various resources, including the full playlist. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, found it interesting, maybe even learned something. And this concludes my Battle Network 3 tutorial. I did it on white, but it works for blue. Well, I did this on blue, but the rest of it I'm mostly done on white. I plan to do a follow-up, which will show you the blue version's RNG manipulation route. But this should be a really good start for anyone that is interested in speedrunning Battle Network 3, and shows you some easy strats, some harder, faster strats, and then some really cool techniques that you can throw in with the RNG manipulation. Yeah, but that's it. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, take care. Good luck to all future runners. Let me know if you do live streams or upload videos. I really want to see. Good luck.